Hello, my name is Nick from nosmallcreator. We are a collective of individuals from all over the globe
that create content on YouTube.
We have various backgrounds from filmmaking and graphic design
to office, construction, engineers, and digital consultants.
And voiceover artists like myself. We want to talk in real time
about how COVID-19 is affecting us in the regions that we live in.
So that we can connect as a whole without the government
or media agendas interfering with any narrative.
We will post weekly or as often as we can. We're taking videos from each region and putting them
together to create one voice about the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are all affected,
no matter where we live. We aim to show
unity and solidarity amongst the various countries
to help us feel closer together even though we may be oceans apart.
I've never uploaded a video like this to my channel before that's part of something so much bigger than me. I've never had the honor of sharing so many other different perspectives. This video is about fear and about how we have dealt with it and how we are dealing with it. Fear is exhausting. Fear keeps us hiding. Fear is a liar. Fear withholds success, love, and meaning. Fear wants us to sit alone, sliding down unnoticed, into the unknown it's been trying to avoid, with inaction. Fear doesn't want hope to grow. Fear wants you believing you are all alone. It makes your own troubles grow and grow. Love casts out all fear.
My main fear in college was that I wasn't going to see my family as much.
I have some more rational fears and I have some more existential fears.
My only fear really is how the world will change because of this.
That she was feeling sick. She was worried. She got tested.
Not knowing when things are going to get back to normal, if there even will be a normal after this.
Like, are we even ready? Like, is it gonna cause a second wave?
That thought doesn't bother me nearly as much of the thought of my wife having to tell my kids, I'm never coming home.
For those 2 weeks of quarantine, I found I was paralyzed with inaction.
Here I am, worried, stressed out of my mind, but I have my family. I have the thing that matters most in the entire world to me, with me.
I was in Vanuatu when the pandemic really kicked off. I still had 10 days left of my trip when the Australian government announced that all Australians abroad should come home immediately. It was a mad scramble to get out. I couldn't get through to the airlines because their phones were jammed. Your call is important to us. An operator will be with you in 23 hours. The flights I finally managed to organise were cancelled because planes were being grounded. They put on some tiny planes and told me I couldn't take my luggage. Then it was left on the tarmac, then brought back into the terminal, then taken out again. I had to spend a night on another island, and they put everyone on the plane into a hotel except me. I finally arrived in Brisbane at 9 in the morning and managed to get onto a flight to Perth at 5 that afternoon. I spent the day in Brisbane Airport in despair at how many things I had to touch and how many people I had to be close to. By the time my husband picked me up from the Perth airport, I was thoroughly traumatised, but there were no hugs allowed. I had to sit in the back seat of the car, then spend 2 weeks living separately. During that time, he went away for 4 weeks, sorting out virus issues at his workplace. It was an intense and lonely time. For those 2 weeks of quarantine, I found I was paralysed with inaction. I couldn't achieve anything. I ended up essentially abandoning my digital brainwork and going outdoors to do physical things.
Alright, so I'm taking a little bit of a risk here because it is raining a tiny bit, but I think I should be fine. But coincidentally, that goes in perfectly with today's theme, and that is fear. Fear of anything that can happen in regards to COVID. Personally, I don't have any fears for myself because I might be the strange one out of the group, and I personally don't fear death itself. I just fear how it'll happen, and I don't think COVID is going to be it. The only things I fear have nothing to do with me. In fact, they have more to do with how the world will change from this point forward. My only fear really is how the world will change because of this. I fear that people will go back to their ways and not let this change how they act and how they feel about things from this point forward. There's a post from a Facebook page that my friend shared, and I'll put it over here. You can pause it, you can read it for yourself. If it's too small, I'm sorry. But I shared that, and for simplicity's sake, I'm literally just gonna read what I added when I shared this myself. I was definitely thinking about this today. When the world is falling apart, and only when it falls apart, we come together to help each other out. Can we please keep the world this way? I fear we won't let this pandemic forever change our gratitude for what we have, our empathy toward others, and how we live our lives. And I hope that people actually are willing to change how they live and are more kind to others because of this pandemic and are thankful for more things instead of complaining about everything. And I fear that won't happen because people will just go back to their normal ways.
And I think we're on week 7, I think. I've lost count, I've stopped counting. So yeah, he doesn't fully understand the situation. So we've spent loads of time together, and I've tried to be around a little bit more for him. I've been avoiding the news because it's just been a bit mad, and it was sending me a little bit on a downward spiral. I've had a phone call from my day job, sort of trying to give us rough times of going back to work and how that's going to look. And there's an announcement due from our Prime Minister as to what coming out of lockdown is going to look like. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit worried about it. It definitely scares me that this guy is like in charge of what happens, and he's the one that's due to unveil an exit strategy within the next few days. Like, are we even ready? Like, is it going to cause a second wave? Is that what they want to happen? Like, you just don't know. But the one thing I am worried about is what's going to happen in the next 6 months, because we've shut down. I've not been able to work. I've not been and shot a wedding, you know? It's just bizarre. Like, it's one of the weirdest situations I've ever been in, and it does scare me, especially with the way that the media puts things across. In the UK, we've now got the highest death toll in Europe. If you look at the percentages, when you look at it as per sort of million people, like, we're slap bang in the middle of Europe. But they don't report on that, they report on the total number. And even that, I don't even know if that's right, because they're not factoring in non-hospital deaths and things like that. And did we not shut down quick enough? Like, we're an island, for crying out loud. Like, we could have closed our borders and quarantined people coming home and literally tested everyone coming into the country, but we never did that. It's just unreal.
Weeks ago, I was doing my dishes, and a police patrol truck pulled up in front of my house and parked. 2 policemen got out of the car and stood there. And as I watched from the window above my kitchen sink, my heart dropped into my stomach. You see, here in El Salvador, it had just been announced that we had just entered phase 2, meaning there were local contagions. The virus wasn't just coming from outside sources flying into El Salvador anymore. It wasn't just being contained in our containment facilities. It had spread, and it was out there. And that the way we were going to handle this is that anybody infected went to a special hospital to be treated. And anybody that they had had contact with, any family members, any grocery store employees, anybody that they had had contact with in the past 14 days, and their families, would be taken to a quarantine containment center where they could be observed and tested. My husband went out and he spoke to the cops and asked if there was anything wrong and anything he could do. And the cops just said, no, sir, everything's fine. We are just making sure that everybody is safe. My husband thanked him and they elbow bumped. And he explained to the officer that I haven't left the house since March 14th. And the officer turned and explained to him that he hadn't been home since March 14th. He hadn't seen his children or his family. Here I am, worried, stressed out of my mind, but I have my family. I have the thing that matters most in the entire world to me, with me. My little 4-year-old daughter came to the door. As soon as the officer saw my daughters, he dropped to his knees and started singing to them. It was the most touching moment ever. I don't even know his name, but I would like to say thank you to the officer. My daughter Luna drew you a picture. This is you, and this is her. Quédate en casa. We're all in this together, and we'll get through this together.
Here in Tennessee, they've lifted a lot of the restrictions. Businesses are starting to open up again. which is a good thing. And our governor, Governor Lee, is doing it the smart way. He's being safe about it. Certain businesses can open. And as for my cousin, who we talked about last time, that tested for corona because she was worried that she was feeling sick. She was worried. She got tested and thankfully negative. Other than that, things are pretty much the same as it was a week ago when we did this last video. Everybody knows I'm a voice actor. The problem with my business right now, even though it's great that I'm still working and I work from home, is that things are a whole lot slower than they used to be. And that's a result of everything that's going on in the world. But other than that, things are pretty much the same here in Northwest Tennessee. Girlfriend's still working at the furniture store. I'm still plugging along. Our little corner of the world, things are quiet, but they're always quiet here. There's never a whole lot going on. And the outlet mall is open. That's a good thing to see. They've been closed for a couple of months now, and that parking lot is full of people. That is good. That is good news.
What am I afraid of? I am afraid of a lot of different things. I have some more rational fears and I have some more existential fears. I'm afraid that I don't matter and that I'll never be enough. I'm afraid of falling off our balcony. I'm afraid of slipping in the shower and hitting my head. I'm afraid of getting kidnapped or robbed. I'm afraid of a lot of things and I'm afraid a lot of the time. Over the past couple years, I've learned a lot of different techniques on how to calm myself down and how to prioritize other things over my fear. I pick people and projects and places and moments to be really passionate about, and that helps me gain perspective and helps me focus on other things that aren't my fear. I rationalize situations, I talk myself down, I listen to a lot of music and a lot of instrumental tracks, and I distract myself sometimes. This is really hard to do when it feels like everybody in the world is freaking out and losing hope. My biggest fear right now is that the world is going to lose hope and that so many people are going to lose the battle against their minds. I'm scared of what will happen if we all stop trying to be better than who we are today. But amidst all of my fears and anxieties and this video and preparing for this video, I still have hope that we can do something good, we can be something good even in this time, and I personally can't say with complete confidence that things are going to go back to normal or that things are going to get better, and that scares me. But I do feel like we can be something now, and that whatever life looks like in the next month, something good can happen.
It really goes back to college this year at the beginning of the year. I really didn't feel like I had a place. And at the beginning of this past semester, a couple months ago, I found a group of friends that I really clicked with. I felt like I had everything I would ever want as a junior in college. I was finally getting into my film courses. I had a boyfriend who's truly amazing, and I was pursuing my bachelor's degrees, and I was just having fun doing it. I was starting to get even better in archery, and I was just excited to see what was going to be coming in the future. And then the coronavirus hit. My biggest fear right now is how much am I going to lose? And the way I've actually coped through this is from a fear from back in college. My main fear in college was that I wasn't going to see my family as much. I only got to see my parents sometimes during holidays, sometimes on archery competitions, and really the only time I got to see them in a greater amount of time was during my summer breaks. But as I pursued my career, suddenly I was spending those summer breaks working. Not saying that my job was a bad job or anything. I love my job. My job's amazing. It's just as I pursued my career, and my life after college more the less time I got to spend with my family. Now that I'm in quarantine and forced to be with my family, I definitely get that time to be with them and enjoy being with them, having a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that whenever I do get back to school, hopefully, and I do get to graduate with both of my degrees, hopefully, I will be totally committed to it, totally committed to starting my own job, and having no regrets that I didn't get to spend enough time with my family.
In Buffalo, New York, people are letting fear draw powerful emotions. Some are protesting that they have a right to work, even if it could injure others. Granted, it's a minority here in Buffalo, as you can tell by the relatively low turnout, but you can tell it's affecting them nonetheless. Me personally, I have type 1 bipolar. I'm diabetic, and I'm a survivor of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Been in remission for a very long time, but it's always in the back of my mind. I do take my medicine religiously. My wife works in a long-term care facility that handles COVID-19 patients, but COVID-19 could kill me. It doesn't bother me nearly as much of the thought of my wife having to tell my kids I'm never coming home. An even worse thought would be if my 8-year-old asthmatic son passed because of COVID-19. Our family would never recover from that. I don't know any family that ever could. Just picture your son or daughter dying in your arms. Is this an irrational fear? Ask that to somebody who's lost a child. What does COVID make you fear?
Artificial happiness has been something that I've always dealt with because I'm a peppy, positive person. I've really had to slow down a little bit during this time and just really think about how I'm feeling and not shove those feelings under a rug and pretend they don't exist, but really be transparent about those things, not only with myself, but also with my family and my friends and the people that I care about and that care about me. The other thing that's been a real struggle has been dealing with the change, dealing with not being able to go out, not being able to be with friends, and not being able to do basic things that we normally do, and not knowing when things are going to get back to normal, if there even will be a normal after this. But as a silver lining kind of girl, I really have to come back to a place of an intentional, positive perspective. And this is a choice that each of us make. Instead of responding in a negative way to the struggles and changes that you experience, think about them as opportunities to grow, shape your character, and also benefit the people around you.
I just thank you for being here and for sharing this with us.
All the contributors' links to the YouTube channels will be listed in the description.
So you can see varying interests and wide background.
Thank you so much for watching.
Please share this video.
We'll see you next week.